we're back with you. We've been all across the country. I mean, just a couple of series ago, we were in Cincinnati. Now, and we promise you guys, we were going to be out in California talking to superintendents. We've been talking to principals. We've been talking to teachers all across the country about future focus strategies, initiatives for all students. I've got a good friend here, Dr. Mike McCormick. Man, introduce yourself, brother. Introduce yourself, man.
Well, Dr. Peters, hey, welcome from sunny Southern California. It
I love
rained
it.
over the weekend. I'm looking out. The sky is blue. The temperature is right. Life is good. So, yeah, I've had the pleasure of serving as superintendent in Verde Unified School District in Southern California. This is my 9th year, my 27th year in the district in total, 9th as superintendent. It's been a blast, I tell you. And we like to say we serve a very diverse community of scholars.
Mhm.
We're 75% Hispanic, about 12% African American. A fifth of our students are learning English as a second language. And Dr. Peters, we've got a 94% graduation rate. So
That's
we're
it,
pretty
man.
excited about that.
Brother, like you said, if you guys are out in sunny, what you say, in Val Verde, right? You're talking about a beautiful area, man. Mike has been there. He's been doing some amazing work. As you guys know, we're really focusing on future focus initiatives, future focus learning for all students. And like Mike said, he is in a very diverse district that are doing some amazing work. Mike, one thing that we really wanted to talk with you about is, man, I know you've been there for, did you say 9 years, right?
9 years as superintendent.
Yeah, 9 years as superintendent, man. As leaders, people think that building a future focused culture, like you can build that overnight, right? And everybody thinks that you can microwave a future focused culture. Talk with us about, what were some of the maybe challenges? What were some of the successes? What were some of the processes of actually creating this future focused culture for students in Val Verde, man?
Yeah, I love that question. And I'm just going to say something and let this sit with the audience for a second. This year's kindergartners will graduate high school in 2035. We literally have the future sitting in our systems right now. The other thing I like to say is we've got 20,000 students in my district, which means we've got 20,000 future workers also sitting in our system today.
Right.
I think that, one of the greatest challenges of creating a future-focused organization is this pull towards those mental models we have around education. In other words, the pull is so strong to continue to do what we've always done.
Right.
And when we look at some of the research out there, we know that we've made very little progress in education over the last 100 years or so. That's kind of the sad part. And so how do we disrupt some of these legacy systems that we've inherited? And I think one of the ways to do that, and one of the things I've done as a cabinet member in this district for the last 15 years, serving as an assistant sup of ed services and then ascending to the superintendency, is literally out loud giving permission to people to do something different, to try something different, and telling principals, you've got to be in classrooms and constantly reinforcing this idea that people are allowed to do something different, to make mistakes and know that they aren't going to be harmed if they try something and it doesn't work out the way that they thought it would. It's this idea of reframing failure. In education, we've all kind of been socialized in such a way that we want to get it right on the first try.
Right.
We don't like to get F's.
No, we don't.
Not at all.
Not at all, brother.
And so this idea of enabling a future focus really starts with creating a psychological safety for all of our team members where they're willing to try something different. That is a huge culture shift.
It is.
And I'll tell you, one of the ways that we've combated this, I think, besides explicitly saying to people, you have our permission, you can do this work, is to actually amplify the voices of our teachers.
Right.
Teachers they are creative.
Definitely.
They're our biggest gift that we have in the system.
Hmm.
And empowering teachers to do something and try something and bring their ideas. We've got a curriculum council that's about 80 members strong,
Hmm.
representing all grade levels, all subject matter areas, and allowing them to play and try things. And when they find things, bring those to
Right.
us. And
Right.
then it's our responsibility, I believe, as administrators to take a look at those things, listen to the voices of our teachers,
Hmm.
and then if they're really good ideas, scale them across the whole district.
Right.
And so I think that's kind of a sense of one of the things that's a constant challenge is actually creating that condition or that psychological safety for people to
Right.
do something that they want to try.
Right.
And then listening to the voices of our educators, who again are the most creative, but creating those lines of communication throughout the system where we become kind of what I like to say is a listening, learning organization.
I love it. I love it, brother. First of all, man, I was thinking when I was teaching, I wish I could be in Valverde, right? Because it's like, we are sometimes we are so into, academic growth and, you've got to make sure that you meet these measures and you've got to do this, that it's real hard to convince people to take risks. It's real hard for them to really think out of the box because they always have that fear that thinking out of the box, it won't work, Mike. You follow me? You're like,
I,
okay, it might not work. And like you said, I mean, a lot of times we do have to reframe this failure because a lot of the times we are kind of, man, we're kind of, we think that every swing at the bat we're going to hit a home run, right? We don't really think that I might strike out on this one, right? I might
right.
not be able to hit everything out of the park. So to actually have a culture where you're able to try these new ideas, I think that is the part of future focus. One thing that we talk about at SPN is we talk about this command and control versus this inspire, engage, and create, right? And if you're in a true culture where the superintendent, Dr. Mike McCormick is saying, hey, let's turn this thing into almost like an R&D center, right? Let's have some great ideas and let's see how these ideas, how we can facilitate these new ideas, man. It's amazing. And I want to, man, I really want to credit you, Mike, because as you know, man, the superintendency and leadership, it's harder, for a lot of people to take those risks that I know that you guys are taking in Valverde, right? So, but
Yeah.
like I said, man, you can go ahead. Go ahead. I
No,
think
I was just going to say, the way I characterize it is it's around motivate, not mandate.
right.
And the other thing that we've done that I think is, and I credit our association leadership for this.
Hmm.
We started doing, we've got over 900 classrooms in the district. We visit every classroom every year.
Right.
And when we do that, we aren't evaluating the teachers. We're going out and saying, teachers, we appreciate you and we want to acknowledge the hard work that you're doing. We give everybody a note card and a candy bar and say, we appreciate you.
Right.
But we don't go in there blind either. We
Right.
see some incredible things happening.
Sure.
And here's where I have to give credit to our Teachers Association and the
Hmm.
presidency is they come with us.
Right.
Because if you think about it, a lot of times our teacher association presidents, they don't get the opportunity to get into classrooms very often either.
Exactly. Exactly.
And it was about, oh gosh, probably 7-8 years ago where the
Hmm.
teacher president said to me, Mike, stop announcing that you're coming to the
Hmm.
schools.
Right.
Because when you announce it, even when you let the principal know,
Oh
they
yeah.
get nervous and
Yes.
then that anxiety spreads to the
Yes.
teachers.
Yes.
Let's just show up. So
Right.
we show up, we pass out these note cards, we pass out the candy bars. It's like, and we're just there to say, we're encouraging you, keep the good ideas coming, and we appreciate you. And when we see good things happening, that's again an opportunity to reinforce. Because here's what I've noticed happened over the years.
Hmm.
Those incredible teachers they become kind of outliers.
Right.
And at the same time, they can kind of be outcast by other teachers
They
in the
can.
system who don't necessarily want to put that effort into it.
Right.
And so we want to capture those
Mhm.
teachers that are doing something different and raise up their voice in the system.
Right.
Because I would say that there's incredible teachers in every system that's within our voices today.
Right.
They're there, but there's that constraint. Often we talk about we want kids to have voice and choice. And
Right.
in my district, we have a portrait of a graduate who
Mhm.
really serves as our North Star.
Sure.
And what I like to say is, yeah, we want liberation for the students to be able
Sure.
to experiment and try things, but very oftentimes we're constraining the teachers. And how can we
Exactly.
have teachers in classrooms that are willing to promote what's good for kids when they don't feel that same liberation? So I think it's
Exactly.
really about empowering and liberating the teachers.
One thing that I see is I also see, Mike, in your district and what's going on there, this connection to, okay, we really want you to take risks in your work. And then the connection to, like, and I want to come and see, not in an evaluative sense, but I really want to come and see how these new ideas, what they look like in the classroom, right? So if I'm a teacher and I'm working, to have the superintendent come in and see some of these new great ideas, that only empowers me to continue that work, right? And to, let's say, if I have the superintendent who's saying, or the leader who's saying, hey, you're doing an amazing job, and really showing people and telling people that, man, gosh, the teacher's doing an amazing job, then what you're doing is you're almost kind of growing your leaders, right? You're getting that leadership, and you're getting, everyone kind of understands that you're not just, talking the talk, right? You're walking the walk. So how many actual observations do you do in a year, man?
Well, it's at least 900. I mean, no, no. Actual observations that I do not.
Okay. Okay.
Principals, they're the ones that go
Yeah,
in and
I'm
do the
sorry.
formal
How many?
evaluations and things
I
like
mean, not observations, because I know
that.
it's
Okay.
not an
Yeah.
accountability
Yeah.
piece,
Yeah.
right? But how many opportunities are you inside the classroom? Did you say
Oh,
900?
yeah. I mean, over 900 a year.
Wow.
Because we make it a point for not only myself but also cabinet and
Right.
our association leaders. That's both the certificated and the classified association presidents. They're doing those same walks with us,
That's it.
and just that visibility, because
Exactly.
you see incredible things going on in the organization, and it gives the association presidents the opportunity to see the same incredible work that's taking place. And so
Right.
it really creates an energy and a vibe
It does.
where we're not going in to put anybody down. And here's the other thing, Dr. Peters, when we go, we don't just visit classrooms.
Hmm.
We make sure we say hi to the custodian. We go into the
Exactly. Cafeteria
cafeteria
staff. Right.
staff, the
Right.
library,
Exactly.
all the noon duty aides that are there. I mean,
Exactly.
everybody gets a handshake and a note card and a piece of chocolate.
That's it.
And some people would say, gosh, are you really spending money the right way if you're handing out candy bars? I would say absolutely yes.
The reality is okay, if I'm a teacher and my superintendent comes inside my class every year, right? I'll never forget that. If I go to any other district and I don't, and the superintendents don't actually do that, I'm sure, like, 10 years from now, or you probably see it, where teachers are just like, I remember when you came into my
We
room
do.
last year, right? I'm sure you get that in,
I
when you're
get
out in the
that. And
store and
and
things like that.
yeah, and here's the thing. If we have a visiting teacher or a substitute when we walk
Right.
into that class, hey, they get that too. And I've
Exactly.
had people come back to me like 8, 9 years later saying, hey, I don't know if you remember me, but I was a substitute
Right.
and now I'm a teacher for this district. And that was one of the things that made me think, hey, I want to be a part of this family.
Right. Definitely.
So it's a good thing.
Definitely. And it's, when we talk about, as we begin to really talk through the culture, and, you know, Mike, Dr. Mike McCormick, he's doing an excellent job out there in Verde, man. He has a culture where everyone, first of all, feels comfortable with actually bringing new ideas. Think about in so many different organizations where you might have a new idea. It's a little risky and you're like, okay, I'm not going to tell anyone about it, right? That sometimes those next practices are the game changers. That's where future focused education starts. It starts with the ideas, not the command and control, but this how you can inspire, engage, and create and actually build a culture around that. Mike is building a strong culture around that. And we're all across the country. We're talking to folks like Mike McCormick out in California. Last week, Mike, we were with Adam Moeller. Man, he's a teacher of the year over in you know Adam. You probably will. You know
Hey,
Adam. Yeah.
I know of Adam through social media. We
Yes,
connect.
yes. You know Adam, right? He's over in Cincinnati, doing an excellent job. And it really revolves around building a strong culture for learners. So, folks, get connected. I mean, there's a link there. Connect with us. We want to just give you these thin slices of what future focus looks like all across the country. So now let's go to our kind of our next piece, Mike. I mean, as we begin to think, we talked about this culture piece. Now, what are I mean, if you're really thinking through like some initiatives that you're doing, right? I mean, I'm thinking now I'm asking you the questions that you ask your teachers, right? You got some great ideas, right? What are kind of some things that you facilitated in your district, and or what are some ideas that you're really thinking about to say, okay, this is maybe an initiative that we're really thinking about going forward, just based on some information or based on some feedback that we're getting from our teachers.
Yeah, I think that we're kind of far down the road now with our
Sure.
portrait of a graduate, but that's
Right.
been an incredible experience of kind of unifying the entire community.
Right.
And with that, we used to have these things called computer labs, and when we went one to
Mhm.
one, we didn't need those spaces anymore. So we
Right.
reimagined those spaces. Those are now STEAM labs.
I
We
see.
have those at every school,
Okay.
and it's kind of like a maker space,
Hmm.
but it's rooted in the next generation science standards, engineering design principles.
I
So
see.
each of these spaces has kind of high tech and low tech resources and materials where kids can come in and work on building things.
Hmm.
It's not like when we were kids.
No, I don't
Kids
know.
don't get a chance to build stuff and put stuff
Mhm.
together. And
Right.
so we've got 3D printers in there for rapid prototype. Kids are learning CAD skills early on. We also have a full suite of video production tools so that kids
Mhm.
can record and memorialize what they're doing and also learn those video production skills.
Okay.
So that's been kind of happening.
Hmm.
I think more recently, kudos to my Board of Education. We passed a couple of board meetings ago a board resolution defining artificial intelligence and kind of the
Right.
things that we're going to be doing with artificial intelligence with respect to students and staff, and
Right.
convening that curriculum council that I talked about early on, and
Hmm.
just realizing that there's a tremendous potential there,
Hmm.
but we want to do it in a safe way with some guardrails on it. I
Right.
like to talk about it like this. See, I'm old enough to remember when a cell phone came in a bag with an antenna sticking out the top of it.
Hey man, you're not that old, man. We're the same, man. We're the same generation, brother. I remember that too, man. It was almost like you were in the army or something, right? Like,
That's right.
like,
That's right.
like
That's
you
right.
ran around with a bag. A cell phone looked like a brick with like a little stem hanging out of it. I remember
That's
those
right.
days,
And
man.
and what I like to say is, with respect to artificial intelligence, it's
Right.
very much in its infancy, like those cell
Yes.
phone bags that we used to carry
It
around in
is.
the
It
in the
is.
early 90s.
Yes, sir. I remember those days.
But I think that this technology
Hmm.
is has the potential of being so disruptive, and I mean that
Hmm.
in a positive way right
Exactly.
now. So we've been doing some things with that. We've adopted it's a product called Merlin Origin,
Hmm.
and Merlin Origin is voice. So teachers walk around with the remote control in the classroom. They
Hmm.
can use voice commands to switch all of the technology in their classroom. So you can say things like, "Hey Merlin," or push the voice command button on the remote.
Right.
Display that PowerPoint on plate tectonics that's in Google Classroom.
Right.
And what that does is liberate the teachers, gets them away from their desk. They don't have to be tied to a keyboard or a mouse. So they're using voice command, much
I love
like
it.
you would do with an
Yeah.
Amazon
Yeah.
product or a Google
Siri.
product,
Right.
Siri, anything like that.
Hmm.
And I think this is one of the things, and I've been doing ed tech for a long, long time. And I think that this is an example of the type of technology that can actually make the teachers' lives easier. So
I know, man.
super excited about that.
Hey, you know what, man? You didn't know that when you came here, man, this was going to be like a recruitment video for teachers in Valverde, right? Because I mean, let's say if I'm a teacher, Mike, and I'm in your district, right? And I can take my children to this maker space, man, where they can really begin to explore. And then I've got this AI, this AI app and or like this system where now I can, instead of me having to go to my desk every time to click on this, it's voice animated, right? Automated. And I can actually speak, to the AI to help me actually begin to teach those classes, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's like having a teacher assistant right in the
right,
palm of your hand. And I think
right,
that's the beauty. And I got to say, 5 years ago, it was hard to imagine
exactly,
this type of efficiency that we could build in for the teachers and actually free them up to do what's most important: spend time with kids.
exactly. And what I love about it also, Mike, is the more that you put that in teachers' hand, then when you think about the ideas that will be generated from just having that mechanism of having the teacher assistant, right? And then as you begin to bring the teachers together in their PLCs and really begin to talk through that
Yeah.
in their campuses, man, that is big time. I love that. I've been to, I'd say in about the last month, at least 40, 50 classes, man. I would have loved to have a teacher actually, speaking in AI as a teaching assistant, working with students inside the classroom. And that is big time, brother. That is definitely big time.
Yeah,
Definitely.
it's being a teacher,
Mhm.
it's it's so nuanced,
Right.
and time is such a finite resource.
Exactly.
And it's almost like being a conductor of an orchestra. And once you get into flow,
Exactly.
man, and when things break that flow, whether it's an announcement that comes over the speaker system, or
Yes.
it's any little interruption like that breaks that flow.
Exactly.
And so we're really thinking about how do we keep teachers and students engaged and keep them in flow.
And if I'm a student inside of a class that has the AI voice automated system, right? Then you can, I mean, even as you're looking at the questioning pieces with students, I mean, there's so many different connections there, Mike. So many ways that teachers can interact, students can interact, and leaders can actually interact. So, folks, if you're in sunny side, California, right? Valverde, man, you have got to go look Mike up, right? Now, you're probably going to have to check his schedule because he's doing 900 visits, right? He's in folks' classrooms. He's giving out chocolate, right? He's giving out, shaking hands. And they are actually, when you're talking about a future focused system from the boardroom to the classroom, what we talk about at Successful Practices Network, they've got it there in Valverde. So, Mike, man, I want to thank you folks, if you want to get connected to Mike as well as a lot of our other, we've got folks in LA Unified. We're really going to be talking about future focus success for African American children. We've got Dr. Fletcher who's going to be coming on talking about that. We've got Clayton Bradley in Michigan. Man, they've got a school that they're doing some amazing work at all levels, particularly at the secondary level. So we can really talk through, what that future focus, those strategies look like. Folks, get connected. You've got to get connected. And again, if you're in sunny South California, you let me know. I'm gonna fly out there with you, and we're gonna have to catch him, right? We're gonna have to catch him at one of the schools, go shake his hand and ask for some chocolate he's giving out and some great work that's going on in the school. So, Mike, thank you so much, man, for taking time out of your day to really talk with us about the amazing work that's going on out in Val Verde. Okay.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you, Dr. Peters, and the whole crew at Successful Practices Network. It's doing a great job. And what I love about that is you guys are, I think, uniquely positioned to be that voice that brings us together from across the country. So thank you for your work.
Hey, thanks, Mike. We appreciate you, brother.